If you were to use your current level of spiritual discernment as an indicator, how dominant is your flesh over your spirit, your nephesh over your ruach? Hi, this is Barry Phillips with 10-Minute Torah, day number 4 of Netzavim Ve'yelech. Let's go into chapter number 31. We find Moshe at the end of his life. He has not days or weeks, but hours in which he is to live. He's coming down to the end of it, and he knows it. Now, he has lived to be 120 years of age. These years are broken up in very equal segments. 40 years, he learned to operate in the behind-the-scenes political regime of Pharaoh's palace. He understood how to be a ruler, how to be a negotiator. Some would say that he was a mighty man of war. He learned about the gods and spirits that were worshipped in the Egyptian mindset. He spent 40 years being a nobody, lost to everyone else on the earth, perhaps, wandering around in the wilderness after Yitro, his father-in-law's sheep. 40 years. It's interesting that this man was 80 years of age before he came to his vital significance. Think about that. Yes, he lived another 40 years, but he was 80 years of age. If you and I had to wait until we were 80 to reach that significant moment where Yah says, now you're ready, we would probably look back over our lives and say, my life has been a waste up until this point. Here's a fallacy that maybe you and I need to overcome. Yes, the years that we spent wandering around in sinful activities, sowing our wild oats, doing our own thing, living in rebellion. While that was not perhaps Yah's best plan for us, those years are not a waste. Now, we would say nothing spiritual really was produced there. No good thing came from that. Maybe, but then again, if we look back and realize that those hours, days, years that we wasted, quote unquote, they did produce something in us. They enabled you and I to exhaust the idea that there's anything else but Messiah Yeshua. When we have found him, we found the one that is the reality of what we spent all those years looking for. Now, would our life be perhaps more fruit-bearing? Would we be further along the path if we had found Messiah earlier? Well, of course. But nonetheless, do not look over the past and say it was all a waste. There are some things that we learned. There are some issues that we were confronted with. There were some experiences that we gained that taught us some things. Take those and build them as a foundation. Maybe not everything. I get that. But there is also a place to gather in those things that we would think were a total waste, and they're not. All right, let's move on. Moshe did not die of old age. He did not die of some sickness. He said his goodbyes. He went up on top of the mountain, and the rabbinical take is he received the kiss of Yah that his soul departed from his body with. If you will remember, there is a moment in time where Moshe is up on the mountain and he says, show me your glory, show me your face. He's hidden in a crevice of the rock. Yah places his hand over him. He walks by declaring Yud Hey Vav Hey, Yud Hey Vav Hey, the 13 points or 13 attributes of mercy. And his hand is removed, and Moshe sees the hinder part, or perhaps the previous works of Yah up until that point. The rabbinical take on that moment is very interesting, and that is that if Yah had allowed Moshe to see his face, then the very soul of Moshe, which originated with Yah, as all of our souls did, would have flown from his body and fleeing this physical world, yearning to be back with the source from which it was created, went back to the Father. Moshe would have died in that moment, not from the horror of the glory, but from the ecstasy of the glory. So Moshe did not die a horrible, painful, gut-wrenching death. His soul exited the physical frame and went back to the source from which it came. I can think of no greater way to leave this world. So the Stone Edition Chumash says that the most holy and righteous people are sensitive to spirituality, and they're able to tell when the soul begins to ebb away from the body. And I've seen that evidenced. They just have this awareness. My time is short, and I need to make things right. Yaakov gathered his sons into his bedroom, prophesied over them, pulled his feet up under the covers, lay down, and went to sleep and died. Can't ask for more than that. My father, other people that I know of, were spiritually and sensitive to the Spirit and understanding time is short. Let's clean up the last details. Let's set the house in order. The time of my departure is hand, Rav Shaul said. They're just aware. Now, again, if we're to use our nephesh, our flesh, as an indicator of where our spiritual discernment is, here's the point, is the flesh of us fighting the spirit of us, in that we are clinging desperately to every moment of life in this present world, rejecting the idea of that which is for us and the life that is yet to come. Which are you more excited about? Your next appointment on your calendar, the next exciting event? Or are we more stirred up about Sukkot that's taking place in just a few days? Or are we fascinated with the aspect of sitting around a campfire and fellowshipping and dancing and musically celebrating and having a great time? That's wonderful. That's awesome. And it is a spiritual event, but there's a greater event that is yet to come. The kingdom of heaven is coming to the earth. Here's a hard question. What if the appearance of the kingdom of heaven upon the earth necessitated your passing from this life first? Are you willing to do that? Father, not my will, but your will be done. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Even if that means I pass away in order to facilitate the coming of the kingdom. Now, I'm no different than you. I want to go alive into the kingdom, and that's my ambition. I seek to do that. But none of us are going to go into the kingdom exactly as we are. We're all going to be changed, whether through the resurrection out of the ground or the resurrection from on top of the ground. We're going to be a different people. Our bodies are going to be changed. We're going to be miraculously transformed from mortal to immortality, from corruption to incorruption, Rav Shaul said. I yearn for that moment. But I don't know how it's going to transpire. Your kingdom come. Moshe knew he couldn't cross over the Jordan. He knew that it was required that Yehoshua, the namesake of Yeshua, was to take the people in. That he himself had gone as far as he could go. And I believe out of mercy, Yah says, Moshe, climb the mountain, see the land, and I'll take you with me. Rather than him standing on the opposite side of the Jordan waving, watching everyone else go over, and with a broken heart, dying alone on the opposite side of the yard. Your kingdom come. Your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Last day is tomorrow. We'll see you then. Until then, shalom.